So Vince Mensa is training. He's Canadian, part black, Afro Canadian, and I think his mama white. I don't know. He said that Coco Black Americans should say they African. Okay, let me respond to this. We are part African. So your dumb ass don't know history, and you want to sit here and dictate us how to identify as. Okay, I don't know what African blood, whether it was slaves, runaway slaves from Hairtown that came to Canada, like the Rock, are your family from the Caribbean, or they from Africa, or they maybe Afro Latino, or they from Africa coming to Canada. I don't know what it is with you, but we African people are not pure black. The reason why that one drop rule was created, meaning if you have any drop of black in you, you're black, so we can be the slave population. That's why we come in different skin tones and heritage. I don't look like Akon. I guess I have African hair. I have the lips, the nose, but my complexion, even though it's not bright higher like Drake, it's not dark like West Snipe. In not in course, West Snipe is African. Saying he's from here, but he do represent his phenotype represent a full African look. Even though he's not genetically fully African, right? And what's the man name? I don't look like Akon. The reason why that many of us do not call ourselves African, and I'm speaking for other people, because when the slavery ended or prior when it was about to end, they made a thing to get the slaves to go back to African Liberia. Okay, it's weird that the people African descended who was seasoned with white and native or different skin tones went to Liberia and tried to slave the full Africans there. Okay, weird. Slave mentality. Okay, colonized mentality. But most of those back to Africa movements was paid by the Ku Klux Klan, and this is in white supremacy before the Ku Klux Klan was even created. They were saying this, and I'm saying in the vocal sense, even on Sunday. If you can't be my nigga on a plantation working for free, dealing with all the bullshit I push with the rape, the abuse, the beating, the cutting body parts off, all the other horrendous things, then you can't be free in the United States. Take your nigga ass back to Africa. That's what they're saying. See, this is why a lot of African people do not accept the term being called African. It's not that no self-hate. I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for some people. It's because our white cousins, because we are part white and native, we're not fully African. We have white ancestors and American ancestors. They dick and pussy created us to be here too. So they're telling us, since we don't want to be their slaves, to go back to Africa. And that's why they came up with the back to Africa way before Marcus Coon, Trash, Garvey came in. I'm glad they bitch ass. I'm glad the Jamaica kicked his ass out there. He got deported back to Jamaica too, didn't he? Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to defend ICE. But it should be ICE to get anybody offended, and this I'm not defending what happened to Lorenzo, Salgado, Rojo, we have here in Houston. No offense to him, the Mexican man that got killed by ICE. But when you committing crimes and you're not from here, I do believe you should go back. Okay? I'm not talking about committing crime being a doctor. I'm talking about committing crimes like killing, murdering, robbing, frauding, and misleading people. And Marcus Garvey was one of them. And I'm gonna tell y'all something was hypocritical about illegal immigration is that white supremacists do support illegal immigration. Okay, now to change the subject. Disclaimer: they get undocumented immigrants and of color, whether it be African, Latino, Caribbean, Asian, races, to do their dirty work that we don't want to do, not pay, and then they train them to go against accuracy people. That's why people need delineate. Oh, we know that trick. Okay. And Marcus Garvey was one of them. Besides LULAC. Some of the people from LULAC was not even born in the United States, born in Mexico and lived in Texas. They were not all Tejanos. Tejanos were Mexican American people who've been here since Texas was they has they don't own stolen from even know history. But like the one that owned that Mexican restaurant, I forgot his name. His ugly ass bitch ass, he did. He would not let people act consent. That Mexican man was not born in the United States. He was born in Mexico and got Americanized and whitewashed in the head. Was in cocoa disease, and he I forgot Tahita. Yeah, Tahita. Was it Rafa Tahita? Something like that. I forgot his name. I gotta go back. But what I'm trying to say that there was agents. They used agents outside of the country or recent immigrants like Stephen Fletcher, Stephen Fitch's parents were not from African America. They were from the Caribbean. They were from Bahamas and Jamaica. He played anti-black. He born in Florida, playing anti-black stereotypes and made a whole lot of money playing that role doing Jim Crow. Now it's funny, history has not changed because these dumbass coons, dusty ass, fake ass brothers call themselves niggas, make money in teaching folks at the concerts to say the word nigga and then get mad when it's used for racial purposes. Okay? For a check. For a check. Okay? I said what the hell I said. Okay? So, anyway, but that's what I'm saying. Then Marcus Garvey, I should have been there back then to deport his bitch ass because he did have the meeting with the Ku Klux Klan. Okay? And June 25th, which is years later, Michael Jackson died today. That's suspicious. Okay, June 25th, 2022. June 25th, 1922. Okay, about past 100 years ago, 104 years? Yeah, 104 years. This man had a meeting with the coolest thing on the NAACP and trying to get people lynched. That's why this whole Nolan Words case, y'all don't realize it's be people who act consent who want this to happen so it can cause separation. They encourage more lynchings at that meeting in Atlanta, Georgia. So this is why we reject being called African. Because our African ancestors bred here, they got mixed with white and indigenous American people. So this is our land. We have three homelands. We have this country, we have Africa, and we have Europe because our genealogy is not fully African. African kings and queens and shit did not give a fucking damn about our African people being sold to our white ancestors. So mixed with that bullshit. Now I do agree we should acknowledge our African heritage, but acknowledge our European and Native and whatever heritage we have in our bloodline, because when you fully complete of your genealogy, you know where you came from and you know where you're going. And a lot of African people do not know where they came from. They still stuck on stupid. I agree with that. And I say it because every time I see a stupid ass brother refer to himself as a nigga, you can already know that he don't know where he came from. He let a white supremacist turn to internalize his head. Then he do exactly what they expect, go to jail, commit crime, act a fool, and get locked up in prison. Because they won't remember prison is slavery here. Go read your 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment says except for a criminal act, you get locked up by the system, you're a slave to the system, and that's why. So I agree with that situation. We should reform ourselves. We should reform ourselves back in 1965 when Jim Crow ended. But some of us want to stay on a stupid level. Some of us stay at the plantation. And like I tell you, I'm near 50 years old. I'll be 50 in 3 years. I'll be 47 soon. Okay, Leo season. These elders, like in my case, who still had Stockholm syndrome of Jim Crow and slavery, they're the reason why these young people are not acting right. They act like Massa with a tan. Okay? They can quit by births. That's why people don't go to church, because a bunch of these wicked people run the churches. Okay? And claim to be Christian when they don't check their own doggone selves. And I know I ain't the perfect Catholic. I'm a former Protestant, and I became witch and from a warlock from 9, 12 years old, and I left that alone, thank God, and I became 13 years old. But I'm letting you know, a lot of these people come from these toxic religious households that the Massa ancestor of ours was using to keep slavery alive. When Harriet Tubman went to the plantations, the reason why slaves refused to go with her, not only was scared, they've been brainwashed by Massa. If they escape that plantation, God was going to punish them. Okay? So, this is why. So, your words have power. When you tell your sons and daughters they thug, they dumb, niggas, and a bunch of bitches and hoes, they do become what you have called them. And these parents are not held accountable for that. Some of these parents don't have training. That's why I'm not agreeing with the white woman on TikTok saying she want her sister telling her how to raise her kids. But she know the difference. You know she a racist, white racist bitch, okay? But she knows some of our parenting came from Massa. The beating kids and talking down, that came from our white Massa ancestor. Because they said that we were not human for having black blood. That's why the 3/5 of man came in. That's why the that's not Carnegie Hall. What's that? Is it Samuel Samuel Cartwright. His name is New York City, but in the South, he mutilates sisters in their vagina. Okay? Gynecology, okay? And he, because they said that we're not human. We can only feel pain. That's why some of our people don't sympathize with pain. They desensitize because they saw us as not being human. Okay? 3 to the man mean you're not a human being. Okay? They said we were not fully human. And 2, I remember a dark-skinned old school brother told me this, that the more this plantation believe the more lighter you are, the more human you are. So if you was extra dark, because I'm not extra dark, okay, I'm not West Side complexion, you're not human. But if you're more lighter, okay, and I guess if I get a little treatment, you compare to someone darker than me and someone lighter than me, that's like Drake color get better treatment than I do. That's how it goes. They felt that's where the cousin come from. Okay? So that's why that you don't study our history, but you want to run your damn mouth to a point, since you're not from the United States, somebody might call ice on your bitch ass. Okay? Fake brother. It gets on my nerves when you immigrant individuals, not all immigrants, I ain't trying to bash immigrants, come run your mouth about our history, but do not take time to read about it and read why things the way they are. Okay? And this is our country. And before you start telling me to go back to damn Africa, my fourth and fifth grandfather, on my big mama side, my dad's maternal grandmother's side, okay, my great grandmother's side of the family tree, when I did her ancestry, besides her husband, named American Choctaw, and black and English, she was black, English, Choctaw, French Creole, and Scottish. My fifth grandfather, my fifth grandfather was a white man. The other fifth grandfather was a Cherokee man. Remember my mulatto for grandmother married my fourth grandfather, who was fully Cherokee. Well, his dad died treated his. He went from Georgia, John Wolf Jackson, and John Wolf Jackson Jr. is my fourth grandfather who married Phyllis Corns, my mulatto grandmother. Okay, fourth grandmother. Okay, they did contribute me to be here, so I am the American. I said what I said. They dick. The dick will come in it. So you cannot say it wasn't for the dick. And I talk like this because you dumb, stupid idiots want to play semantics with me. We're not pure black. If they dick and pussy can trip my ass to be here, that's who the fuck I am. What, are you like to stop using our black blood to relegate us like we back on a fucking plantation? We're supposed to be enjoy our freedom for 61 years. 61 years of our freedom. We ain't have to this relegating bullshit. See, like I said about the Ku Klux Klan, they initiate Islam too. And Michael X exposed that. When y'all fuck with our freedom, that's why men don't be doing these marches. And we boycott these damn businesses. But you see, when it comes to our white cousins, you don't do that shit. Okay? So, black American descent people, we're mixed. Okay, yes, we're part African, but we're not 100% African, and our African blood in this country was used to exploit us for oppression. That's why I'm against the one-drop rule. That's why I'm calling myself a pure black man. I am not self-hating. This mouthpiece came from slave massa, okay? And we have every right to reject it and reject those who follow it and try and bottle us about. Because I believe we should separate within our community. We should. Let them that's why they get butt hurt behind what we do. Because they want to control us and relegate us like slave masters. Remember slave masters was mad, they had to emancipate their slaves and was crying like bitches. That's the reason why. Okay? Some of you people of African descent need to stop thinking that you cannot have freedom. And that's why I'm against this shit. We deserve to have freedom. And here's Vic Mensa dude coming in from Canada. Like I say, if someone calls up the 3 letters, okay, it ends with the I, it ends with the E, on your ass. We not protest. I protest for Lorenzo, but I ain't protesting your bitch ass, okay? Coming our country trying to be the light-skinned version of Marcus Garvey. Take your bitch ass back home, bro. Shit. I said what the fuck I said, and I can't write it. Because do you have any recruit? I do. I did my genealogy, nigga. Okay? And my fifth grandfather, and my fourth grandfather, John Wolf Jackson Jr., and John Wolf Jackson Sr., they hit they dick. contributing me to be here, my daddy to be here, my Tyson grandma, his mom that did me dirt to be here, her mother to be here, her father to be here, her grandfather to be here. So don't go there with me with that semantic bullshit. Okay? We are mixed race Black Americans. Stop using black blood to relegate us that we like we on a fucking plantation. We supposed to be fucking free. And people need to mind they damn business. It don't like our damn freedom. Heard what I said? Mind your damn business. Mind your damn motherfucking business. Stop trying to find an excuse to relegate us. Okay? And as I said, them 3 letters again with the I, end with the E, come after your ass, nigga. I ain't protesting. Okay? Always gonna come here trying to tell us what to do. Listen to our white racist cousins trying to deny our freedom. Shoot, freedom come before anything, bitch. Shoot. That's how I say it. Okay? Over here trying to tell us about Africa. We know we mixed with African, but we're not pure African. Our African bloodline was exploited. That's why we have a wealthy country, because it was exploited in slavery and damn Jim Crow. Okay? So we're not ashamed of it, but we're not gonna go around and pretend to be fully African. And since the African kings and queens and shit didn't give a fuck about our African ancestors getting sold to our white ancestors for slavery, why would we ever give a damn about that shit? Okay? Cry me real with that bullshit. Okay? Mind your business. Go fix Canada. Canada got a lot of racist shit going on against people of African descent. You need to go worry about that. Everybody keep talking about Canada's a good country. I'm hearing so many stories about racism. Go fix that situation in Canada. Leave the United States alone. That's why. Okay? And anybody be no damn xenophobic. Some of the immigrants of color need to mind their business when it comes to us. Stop trying to help the white supremacists. We know that shit. 9, 10, some white Klan and Nazi motherfuckers paying your bitch ass to spread this bullshit. Mind your business, nigga. Get out of our business.